Oh, well, how you doing? Welcome to another webcast. Today is Monday the 9th. Let me just check we're recording it. Yeah, we're still recording. Uh, Monday the 9th of November 2020. Last week, very interesting week which spills over into this week. So today, Monday the 9th of November 2020, the time now is about 2 p.m. in the evening. We're in autumn. The temperature is about 16 degrees. It's a warmer day today. The sun is shining, as you can see. There is some clouds in the sky, so the sun goes in and out. So it's so all of a sudden it might be overcast in the next few minutes, and then suddenly we got very bright sunlight, very sharp, very bright sunlight. So this is the autumn weather. It's as you can see, you got leaves on the ground. It isn't too cold today. Well, it depends on how much clothes you're wearing. But this is Finsbury Park, London, UK. The north side of London, in the UK. Well, you say England, not United Kingdom. So we got Wales, we got Scotland, we got Ireland. And each one of them has their own identity. Each one of them have their own rules and regulation when it comes to the current situation. Now, interesting though last week was a couple of interesting things. So around Tuesday last week we had the election. Well, we people went to we had the election, the United States of America presidential election, and up to up to Saturday it was still unsure about who the winner was. The actual voting day was like Tuesday, Wednesday, and so unofficially, officially, Joe Biden is the new president of America. Donald Trump hasn't accepted. He has lost. He's out playing golf. He can't handle it. He is crying foul and saying that there's lots of illegal voters, and he still hasn't accepted the loss. Whereas all the news broadcasters and news companies are calling it for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala, not Camilla. Kamala. Because I do know somebody that was named Kamala Harris. So they are more or less the winner. I say more or less the winner because there's one or two things about disputing. There's one or two close number voters in the state, and they're going to have to do a recount in order to double make sure. But in general, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is the winner. Kamala is the VP, Vice President, and Joe Biden is the president. And that's over there in the US. In the UK, it was Thursday the 5th of November. We've gone into a more serious lockdown. We've got 3 tiers of restriction, and we are in a more serious lockdown, which means we can't socialize inside your house or outside your house. And there's many restrictions. Not as much restrictions as there was in March when they first had the first lockdown. But one of the major things is that there are no unnecessary, or only vital items like food and DIY can be sold. So no unnecessary items. There's a term for it. It slips my mind as well. So generally, on a lockdown, the recommendations is that you don't travel, you don't go and see anybody unnecessary. You don't. You only go to work and back. If you can work at home, then you can. If you can work at home, then you work at home. As you can see, the sun is actually going out. Is it a big cloud? You know, it's got a bit more overcast because that's the weather for today. It's blowing literally hot and cold kind of thing. That's the word, essential services only. And there's many things that come under essential services, and there's more things that you can do under essential services now than you couldn't do in March. So that came into law, came into enactment Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, today Monday. So people are still getting used to this lockdown 2.0. And there's still a little bit of panic, because on my way here I saw some queues outside some of the shops. I don't think that state of mind is gonna ease off, not for another week or so. So let me just put my jacket on. It's I can feel the wind is blowing, so when the wind blows, the temperature drops down 3 or 4 degrees. So 16 for about 12 degrees, 10 degrees. So, you know, when the sun is shining, it's much more hotter. So we were in the full lockdown. Part 2, there's many restrictions. They do want you to go to work. They do want you to pay the bills, earn the money. There are some furlough schemes which has been extended. How long for and who for, you got to check. You know, the thing about Finsbury Park where we're at, so I was here yesterday and the other days. There are no, at this moment now, there's no wardens or police. In March, all through the lockdown in March, we had the police up and down, on bikes and on foot patrol and on horses as well. March, April, May, June, July. July was hotter than July, so we had the police patrolling. But they're meant to be wardens, marshals up and down, enforcing the new restrictions. The fines for not following some of the restrictions is much more harsher. You can be fined, escalating if you've been caught more than once or twice. So I think it starts off like £100, and then it goes up to like £3,000. And if you organize events and stuff against the regulation, in fact, there's no events. It's kind of been banned. So if you're the organizer of that, it's like £10,000. But one thing that's there's a movement of anti-lockdown or anti-wearing the mask or anti-virus. That's kind of, so there's the anti-virus against the virus. People who are anti against the virus, and before this lockdown, there've been protests. I think even up to the weekend here in London, there've been protests about wearing the mask. If there's a few things I'm actually learning, let's start on the political sense. In America, Donald Trump actually makes up things as he goes along, and he likes to throw things in disarray. The difference between a legal and illegal vote. Everybody who votes has to be legal, but then you chuck in this thing in there that it's illegal, and anytime he doesn't get his way, he chucks something in. This law and order president, okay, it's no problem, but that's a dog whistle. That's code for, okay, we're gonna clamp down on those black folks. We're gonna clamp down on those Black Lives Matter, and then they claim that they're gonna defund the police. Black Lives Matter does not defund the police, and they cannot defund the police. The budgets that are passed for the police is passed by government. Well, Donald Trump is no longer part of the government, central government. He probably is for a couple of months, because he's not officially out of office not until the 20th of January. But the only people that pass the budget for the police in America and in the UK are the government or the local government. And as far as I know, there's no Black Lives Matter. If it's a political movement, people on any one of the committees that oversee the funding, passing of the funding, or the budget of the police, or any local office, borough or state. And even if they do have one person who's voted in from Black Lives Matter, that one person in relation to how many is on the committee wouldn't have the effect. Remember, democracy is the majority votes through, and it's usually democracy is based on a panel of people, and you vote through and the majority gets through. And if there's one person who's there from Black Lives Matter or from a organization against, it wouldn't get through. And therefore we go back to the American election. It is so close call, almost 50-50 or 51-49. Just the same way as the Brexit election over Brexit. It was a referendum. The people would vote on the decision. So it's like 51% Joe Biden and 49% Donald Trump. So it's democracy. So everybody got to vote, and even there is a little bit of controversy because how the voting colleges are set up for each state. So whoever wins in that state gets the 20 votes or the 10 votes or the 3 votes from that state. So there's no way that Black Lives Matter can actually affect the funding of the the police is just scaremongering for stupid people. And talking about stupid people, remember 50% of the people, 49% of the people in America follows Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is in tune with some of the problems and some of the frustrations of half of the people in America. Now, just because Donald Trump is no longer president doesn't mean those people's fears and problems go away. You have to address it, right? And what will happen if I turn more to the black folks who voted a lot in the American election, and other minorities and poor people, your lives are not going to improve. No, your lives are not going to improve. The reason why your lives are not going to improve, because one of the basic things you fight for every day is having enough money to pay the bills. And the bills will never go down, right? Your rent will continue to go up. Your food price will continue to go up. Your utilities, your gas, electricity will continue to go up. Your car bills will continue to go up, right? Now, what the government have done for certain sectors of the community, it's managed to subsidize them, give them a tax break so they can have more tax in their pay packet in order to mitigate the rise in prices. The poor people don't get that tax break. But so the problem still persists. What also happens if you don't help resolve those problems or perceived problems those people have, is that they become extremists. One of the first terrorist explosion in America was Timothy McVeigh. He blew up him and his young cohort blew up the tobacco and alcohol licensing or tax office, right? So they were anti-government, and this is part of the ticket that Donald Trump sold to the people. He's anti-government, but guess what? Okay, he was government, right? So he sold it to the people that he's anti-government, and he's, what's it called? Drain the swamp, clean up the swamp. But he's probably the biggest alligator in the swamp. But those people who are feeling the pain will still continue feeling the pain. So they'll turn to militias. They're now going to be more anti-government. You remember Waco? Can't remember how many years ago that was, like 20, 30 years ago, where people had their own compound and they shut themselves away from normal society, and it what do you call it, a cult. And we have so many different kind of militias, and we have so many different people who are preparing for not necessarily the end of the world, but when government loses control, and I don't know who they perceive is gonna take over. So they've got bunkers, they got shelters, they arm themselves to the teeth, because they're same American people. I don't know where they're gonna come from, right? They fear that they'll take over, and they I don't know. So you got militias who's got guns, who's got underground bunkers, which they've got food, they've got survival. They teach themselves survival. They've got people training with guns, because there's a sort of, I don't know, apocalypse where everything's going to lose control. And the people that's going to be in this apocalyptic thing against them are their own brothers and sisters in the US. I don't know who. So even though Biden and Harris is in, you still got to address the fears and the qualms of the people who didn't vote for you, right? So it's all right. You can talk about healing and you can talk about everybody getting together. Their lives are not going to improve because the underlying economic system, right, is what controls everything. In the sense that these presidents, it's big companies that actually give them large donation in order for them to run their campaign. So behind the scene, they actually owe the big company. Now back here in the UK, it's almost the same thing, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. There is a sort of growing normality now to this because from March, November, like 9 months, I've literally been in lockdown phase literally for 9 months. Even when things had eased off, the virus was still there. It was still prevalent, and because we were in lockdown last week because of the increased rate in infection and hospitalization and death, we reached peak rate now. So the most infectious time isn't now. The most infectious time was like 2 weeks and a month ago, right? And lockdown only came in 2 days, 3-4 days ago. So that doesn't mean it shuts down immediately. It's a lag of 15 days to 30 days. But back to the virus, the companies that are doing the testing in the UK is not the National Health. It's either Circle or another company. So it's given that to private company. A lot of the hospital services is done by private companies, you know, and so there's a slow easing out of things to private companies, you know, and it's done ever so slowly. You don't realize it. A good case in point is actually the dental system here. You can either go private or you can you got the National Health. But during the major part of the lockdown, and I still think it's in right now, is that you can't get National Health treatment. Only emergency. That is, they're going to pull out your teeth. That's what they classify it. So, but if you want the full treatment, you could pay privately for that, and you can have it. So this is the privatization of, and the corporates moving into some of the National Health and other government-run institutions, you know. And when it comes to medical care, it's kind of following the American model, very, very slowly. It's been introduced over here. Now today, a few hours ago, big news: vaccine has moved up a couple of stages. The company in charge of that, their stock market price goes up. Now, people don't realize when the stock market goes up, the ordinary folks have to pay more money. If oil prices go up, right, it means that you have to pay more for the oil in your car. If certain services and stuff go up, raw material goes up, that means you're going to have to pay. So when people jump up and down, oh, the stock market is up, it ain't good news for the people down on the street, right? It means that things are going to get more expensive, right? Because they're selling it at wholesale or what have you. The price has gone up. So if it's sold at wholesale at a higher price, it means when we come to buy it, it's gone up in price. And especially if the transportation and petrol involved, that's even goes up even more again if the petrol price has gone up. And here's what: when the petrol price goes down, the price per barrel of oil, petroleum, the prices don't really go down much. It may go down a penny or a couple of pence. It doesn't go down that much for a short while, then it just goes back up again. So you're screwed. Either way, you're screwed. So back to Biden and the new president, things are not going to get better, right? But the good thing about Biden, he's trying to be honest. He's trying to say, yes, there is a crisis. There's a pandemic. It is killing people. Whereas Trump was saying, what pandemic? You know, we got free vaccines for everybody. Oh, by the way, just back to the vaccine. So it means if the vaccine, the company that produces the vaccine, their stock price has gone up, it means that if the vaccine, I think the price of the vaccine was like £100, $100 per vaccine because of research and development has been rushed through, right? Whereas, you know, that's today's prices. Yesterday's prices for a vaccine was like £10 or $10, right? And who's going to pay for this vaccine? Right now, Donald Trump at the time says, oh, everybody can have a free vaccine. So it means the government will have to pay for this vaccine, right? And over here in the UK, the government can pay or will pay for the vaccine for the individual. Or there are companies who are actually selling the vaccines privately. Well, not vaccines, tests. You can have private tests for about £100 or so, which you get within an hour or so, you know. But whereas when you go to the companies or the national health, under the guise of the national health, these corporates who are doing the testing, it'll take it 2 and 3 days and what have you, and there's not very much high accuracy there, right? So that's the vaccine there. Now there's 2 points I'm going to try and get over. One is, okay, with the vaccine, even though everyone's excited today, the company that's the main company, I think it's Pfizer, the stock market's gone up. So it's officially been admitted that we have now a new strain of the coronavirus. Right, I've heard some people call it coronavirus 20. It's over there in Europe, one of the Nordic countries, sits on mine, where they grow mink, right? And I think I read an article where they use the word cull, and I've read and heard that they're deciding to destroy the industry so that means the people who are not part of this mink growing industry, you know, they've got to be re-employed or employed, because they'll be out of a job because their industry has been destroyed because they're trying to control the new strain of virus, coronavirus. But from that part of the world, there's about 320,000 people under lockdown. So it's one of those northern, around Iceland, somewhere around there, Norway, Sweden, one of the countries around there. It slips my mind at the moment which country. So there's definitely a new strain. No, well, they've said there is a new strain. Right now, it hasn't hit the mass market yet, but maybe Pfizer had rushed to the market this vaccine because they know, just like the flu virus, if something mutates, then whatever you've developed is now out of date. You know, this is now a new virus. Now, if this new virus takes spread over the world, it is said by one of the governors of New York, well, the governor of New York, that once the virus is anywhere in the world, it is everywhere in the world, right? So once it spreads, because remember, last year around this time is when it started in China on a very low scale, and then it exploded. So once this new strain is there, once it's in the world, it is everywhere in the world, right? So they're trying their hardest to lock it down. Now, it's all going to be a sort of wait and see thing about if they manage to lock it out. But because they've identified the strain and it's actually out there, then that is a problem. But the other thing about people is that if I go to the politics over here, uh, what this government over here have been doing is sowing a whole heap of people not following the rules. One of the reasons they're not following the rules is because government, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, initially was saying everybody wear masks, and they said, oh no, you don't need to wear masks, and then a few months later they made it mandatory. You got to wear a mask on London transport. Now it's mandatory that you got to wear masks in when you go and do your shopping, when you're in any place where there's other people, right? You got to wear your mask, right? Even the schools now. That's another exception to the lockdown, is that schools and colleges are allowed. Me personally, I think they should be shut down, because that's where the super spreaders are, right? So that was the mask, and then when it came to the lockdown, the opposition leader said a few weeks back, oh, we should have a lockdown right now, a few weeks back, and then Boris Johnson says, oh, no, we don't need no lockdown. Then eventually, last week, we got a lockdown. So this toing and froing, and then we have government ministers, the same kind of ministers and advisors who were saying, oh, this is the rules and regulations that we got to follow. They're the ones breaking it. So, but part of the MO of the virus is that the poor and the lower class people are more likely to get the virus, right? And including the people who are the frontline workers, doctors, nurses, bus drivers. These were the first ones to get the virus. So if you on the lower socio-economic, if you're in the lower socio-economic part of the community, right, then you're more likely to get this virus. So we have the people who consider themselves middle class and upper class, they don't follow the directions, because they've got privileges. They've got privileges over the working class or the poor class, right? And so we have this mess, really. There are some people who are strict followers of the rules and regulation. Even if they see you not wearing a mask, they would scream and shout at you. Or if you're standing too close to them, they will scream and shout at you, right? So so it's all in a mess. We don't know. Some people don't know whether they're coming or going. But we're in the second phase now, and it's a couple of days into the lockdown. As you can see, people are running around and exercising, and I think they're trying to find their balance. I think they wouldn't find their balance not until about a week or so. We into about 4 or 5 days into it. Some people are still panicking. They want to buy food and what have you. Some people don't know the rules and regulation. I don't fully know the rules and regulation. Normally we have people here, the police are up and down, or the wardens are up and down, telling people that, you got to keep exercising, or there's too many people together, or what have you. So I haven't seen any of that at the moment. So we're all getting used to it. But it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be kind of crazy when it comes to Christmas. Because if we remain under lockdown during Christmas, it means economically economically, we're going to get hit even harder. Socially, because Christmas is a great social occasion, the knock-on psychological effect of that is going to be bad. So it's just going to be, I really don't know, right? So we're going through a tunnel at the moment, and we just don't know what's at the end of it, right? So we're in lockdown in the UK right now. We're in the 4th days in it. There is various exceptions. There's more exceptions to the rule this time than it was last time. One of them is actually you can go to work. You can go to work if you can work at home. Work at home. Schools and colleges are open. There are certain exceptions where certain people can visit people if you're looking after them, or repair or maintenance, vital workers or critical workers. But generally, just a ban on socializing. They literally say don't meet anybody, don't socialize with anybody. By the way, there's a general curfew that everything shuts down at 10 o'clock, right? And anyway, generally everything's shut down anyway, but 10 o'clock everything shuts down. There isn't any enforcement, whereas you've got to be off the street at 10 o'clock, right? But in general, people are off the street at 10 o'clock anyway, because there's absolutely nothing out there. There's one or two essential services that you can access after 10 o'clock, but then, it's just essential service, so there's no need for you to be out there. If you're going to work or essential services or what have you, then that's allowed under this thing. Again, so today is Wednesday. Sorry, not Wednesday. Today is Monday, the 9th of November, 2020. Time now is about 2 p.m. Temperature is it's dropped now. It's about 12 degrees. About 12 degrees. We are in Finsbury Park, North London, in England, and we're in like about the 4th day of the 2nd lockdown. It isn't so severe, but it's still very, very restrictive. And if you haven't got things, worked out or balanced out, it can be psychologically, it can take its toll, and if you haven't got things in balance, it will take its toll. So on a personal note, signing off. We're in the tunnel now. What's at the end of it, I don't know. We have a new strain on its way, but it's not well known, and most of you wouldn't know it. Wouldn't have heard about it. If it takes prevalence, then you'll get to hear about it. All social events and functions cancelled, banned, and if you organise any social function, you'll get fined up to £10,000. So, we got a new president of the USA, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, VP. Donald Trump hasn't said he's accepted, so there are some recounts going on. In the UK, the average rate of death is around 300 a day. It goes up and down. It's 450. The hospital, the admission to hospital, I think it was something like 12,000, right? So eventually you're going to start seeing the mortality. The admission to hospital has actually gone up as well. So we're in the thick of it at the moment. And we're in the thick of it, not because of like now. It's from 14 days a month ago. So the lockdown now, you won't see the effect for 14 days until a month's time. But meanwhile, let me say goodbye. So whatever part of the world you're in, I hope you are. Hope you got shelter. I hope you ain't homeless. I hope they ain't kicked you out your house. I hope you had money to pay the rent, or you got some place to stay. Because it's winter. It's winter, I think, most places in the world. So I hope you're warm. I hope you got food to eat, because one of the major things here in the UK is the kids getting food and stuff. Big political thing about that during the holidays and stuff. And even in America, I know that. So I hope you got food and stuff. And I hope you got some good friends around you and family to keep you stable. You know, it's amazing. The homeless people, in fact, got their own homeless community. You know, they sort of rely on each other, keep each other going. You know, mentally and socially, they're probably more happy than a lot of you who's earning the biggest money in society. You know, the big earners. You know. But let me say goodbye, and I'll see you on the next webcast.